everybody.
Hi.
It's Black and White with Brian Rundle and Lana Quest, and Lana and I have decided we're switching it up tonight. She's going to be on that side.
I know
That
that
side.
was weird. And it's so funny because I'm accustomed to looking that way. So
Yep.
like I don't know if you noticed when we were just talking, I was looking that way and I'm like, what
Yep.
the looking at? Like he's not over there, he's over here.
We're switching it up tonight because, just like the administration that we have to deal with, they're unpredictable, and so are we. And most people came into the show thinking, well, Brian's going to be on that side, Lana's going to be on this side. They had no idea what to expect, and here we are. Lana and I were just talking before the show how excited we are about the future and how everything's great and fantastic. And
Oh my
um,
robo vacuum. Hold on.
yeah.
The thing is
Wait, do you have an
coming.
automatic vacuum?
Yeah, you hear it
Oh,
like
is it
it's still
the eye vacuum kind of thing?
robo
Yeah, the
vac.
robo.
Oh, I have it set. I don't know why it's set for 7. I have to change that. Maybe because we did the show at 8 before. Like so like
Well, it
7
didn't
is
go off at 7 the last couple weeks.
no, I try when I first hear it come off, like I hear it go
Uh,
beep, and then I like stop it real
you
quick.
caught it.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's start the show, Lana. We're going to start before we get into President Musk and his assistant, Donald Trump. Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that Super Bowl was definitely not expected. I came on here last week guaranteeing that Kansas City would win and to put all your money on Kansas City.
Oh,
So I
did
hope
you?
you did not listen to me because that's
Oh
what I did. I put my money on Kansas City, and that did not turn out well.
no.
There was,
Not even a
there was
little.
absolutely nothing in that game that gave me hope at all. I mean, it's 24-0 at halftime. It was a terrible game, but of course, you cannot have a Super Bowl without angry white people being very upset about something.
Yeah.
Couple things happened during that game. One, the president, the president's assistant, Donald Trump, was in attendance. He was the first president to ever attend a Super Bowl before, and this is coming from an administration and a President Musk who is looking to cut costs and unnecessary spending. And it turns out that Donald Trump's little trip and taking 7 other GOP members with him to the Superdome in Louisiana for the Super Bowl cost the taxpayers anywhere between 15 and 20 million dollars. So, would you consider that wasteful spending, Lana? Is that something that you want your tax dollars to go towards?
No.
Hmm.
Like $15 million. Imagine that. It's a
Do
lot
you
of money.
think that the people who back President Musk and Donald Trump give a shit about the 15 to 20 million
They don't
dollars?
care. He
No.
works hard, they'll say, he deserves, he's the president, he can do whatever he wants to do.
Oh, is that true? Well, in 20 days, yesterday would have marked 20 days. Out of the 20 days, he played golf 9 days and he went to the Super Bowl on another day. So it's 50% so
Yep.
far of his very, very brief presidency that he's either played golf or he's gone to a football game. And he didn't even stay for the whole thing, which is even more offensive.
Donnie got
Um,
tired. Got tired.
so we paid 15 to 20 million dollars for him to get a free ticket to the Super Bowl, and he didn't even stay for the whole thing.
Correct.
So, but on top of that, there's more controversy. Usually, I'll tell you, Lana, I'm able, and I said this to somebody the other day that I am proud that I have developed a brain to where I don't get angry at a halftime Super Bowl performance.
Mhm.
But I woke up the next day and I knew it was going to happen at this point because it started. Am I kind of in and out? Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine.
Okay. But this started years ago when Trump took over, and now if there's anybody that performs for the Super Bowl that's not to the liking and they're not wearing belt buckles and cowboy hats, uh, then there's a side of the country that loses their fucking shit and goes nuts. Lana, first of all, did you watch the halftime performance?
Mhm.
Okay. So I will tell you, me personally, I enjoyed it, but I'm not. Music's gotten away from me. I will admit I'm the old guy now. I'm not. music, from 1993 on.
Oh yeah, you're going out now.
What is going on? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Somebody's infiltrated. I think it's President Musk and SpaceX or whatever the fucking satellite he has interfering with our show. But music's gotten away from me. There's music since 1993, I think, that I like, obviously, but overall, it's not for me. But I still grew up hip hop. I grew up rap, so I like the beats. I like everything, and I know there's a whole bunch of things that went into that halftime performance. Some of the things I didn't understand. I really don't follow the Drake thing. I don't follow any of that stuff. But to me, it's the performance overall seemed fantastic. I mean, you see all the choreography, all the stuff that they did was pretty cool. Lana, what did you think about it? Were you angry about the Super Bowl halftime show?
Well, it wasn't about Drake at all. that's you know what I mean. So I feel like it went.
I think only the reason why I said that because I guess one of the songs has something to do with Drake, right? The "Not About Us" didn't that have something to do with Drake? It was like an answer to. I think I don't know. You tell me. That's why I'm asking.
Right, you're not like us,
or not like us. Yeah.
Right. That was a diss track to Drake for sure. But okay, so let's back up because it wasn't about Drake. It was about very pointed symbolism, right? And it went above so many people's head, mainly white people, because you're just not going to get it.
Right.
A woman was like, oh, rap music isn't even music. It was like, why is all Black people performing? It's because Kendrick Lamar took 13 and a half minutes to speak to the Black community because of what is happening to the Black community, right? So like he took time and he didn't say the words, he showed it. So the red, white, and blue had a couple of meanings, right? It was reds, the Crips, the Bloods, the Blues, the Crips, right? And them getting together, because at some point you would see the colors, they would combine, they would go together to separate. So they were uniting, right? So you had to pay attention to the song and why they were uniting. And then the bigger picture was they also formed a flag.
Yeah.
That was the American flag. So you have all Black people as the American flag symbolizes America built off of the backs of Black people, right? So like that's even with the dancing and they're bending down, like all of that. Right. And then when you have the separation of the flag, the breaking up of the flag, like all that was symbolism. Then you had Samuel L. Jackson as Uncle Sam, right? Yeah. And at one point he's telling him like, well, in the very beginning too, I don't know if you know Gil Scott-Heron. He's a poet. I don't. He's a Black poet, famous Black poet, famous for one of his poems, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised." I don't know if you ever read the poem.
I've heard that.
Right. Kendrick, when he started, he said the revolution will be televised.
But you picked the wrong guy.
Yeah, the right time, wrong guy. Right? So that's all the symbolism of what's happening in America today and what we need to do. And then you had Samuel L. Jackson. He would come in and he would be like, you're playing the game wrong with all this ghetto music, right? America's a game. You have to play the game that they want you to play so you can make it to where you need to go. So then after he said that, Kendrick slowed down the beat. Then he had a song with SZA, that song with If This World Were Mine, the Luther remake, kind of like a Luther remake, right? So he slowed it down a little bit. So it all had meaning. I mean, and even and I didn't even notice this.
That's what I was going to ask you. And really, I don't mean to cut you off. I was going to ask you, were you understanding all the symbolism at the time, or were there some of it that you learned?
Definitely knew it was a message to Black people. Yeah. Definitely knew that. Yeah. If we have Black people dressed as a flag,
Yeah.
That's an automatic, right? And the music, Kendrick did not rap or sing his latest, the hits that everyone knows. He rapped the ones that fit the moment, right? And he, of course, he's gonna have a Drake moment, because why wouldn't you call out Drake in front of all these people? Like, that's just,
Right.
that was just a side additive, but
Yeah.
it was not about
That
Drake.
was probably more just because he didn't want to disappoint the crowd because they expected at least something.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a teachable moment. And it was so funny because I did a tweet with Trump's face, because he was just looking like, and I said, like, that moment that you realized the diss track wasn't about Drake, but it was about you, or something like that.
Was he there for the halftime performance?
The pictures, they kept saying that he was. So I don't know for a fact if he was there, but they kept showing pictures saying that, him
I
doing
can't
that.
imagine that he would sit through that entire performance. There is no way,
Yeah,
even if he was there. There's no way.
like the
Because even
black
if he's
people,
not smart enough to understand it was about him,
it's too
he would
black.
have the feeling that it was about him regardless. Because first of all, he thinks everything's about him, number one.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so he would have the feeling regardless. So yeah, I mean, like I said, here's what happened. So I told you I go to my friends and we watch Super Bowl in the same place for years. And in the place I went, there's like all kinds of people there. So I didn't really get to sit and watch it. So the next day I just sat and watched the whole performance and watched everything. And I read about it first, about the symbolism and everything. Then I went and watched it because it made more sense to me. Like I said, it was a good, very good performance. And it was just, it was very interesting. And, it's also to come up with everything that he came up with in there really has genius
It is
written all
genius.
over it. I mean,
It
it is
really
genius.
is.
Whether you agree, let's say you don't even care about and you don't agree with it. You can't say that
It
putting that
was
all together.
artistic. From Samuel Jackson, and everything that Samuel Jackson was actually saying, all of that was part of like that artistic, what you were watching. Like, no, you're right. It was like a little mini play.
Some of the symbolism too, they were saying Samuel L. Jackson, because in a couple of his movies, he's played kind of like the black slave, but he was more for the white man kind of thing. And he was, kind of symbolizing, that
Jiving. Come on, boy. You with that ghetto music, you gotta be soft and nice. Yeah.
And first of all, anything with Samuel L. Jackson, and it's going to be good. I mean, and he wanted to drop the F-bomb so bad because I think he just naturally wants to say it. It would have been awesome if he did. But I was curious to hear what your thoughts were on it, because I saw way too many people's other thoughts on it online.
Like,
and
why
it was
Kendrick?
annoying.
Why was it Kendrick? It's like, because Kendrick has won every fucking award that is known to man this year.
22 Grammys and the prize.
It had that. We're going with the culture, and he is hot right now.
Yeah. I think some people were like, why is it not Lil Wayne? Because he's from there. But at the end of the day, it looks like they made the right choice. And plus, Lil Wayne's he's like a MAGA, asshole.
And like, what would he hasn't? Lil Wayne's not even really out here doing anything. So why would they pay him all that money? That's a big spot right there.
Yeah. Well, kudos to Kendrick Lamar. Kudos to everybody that was on the stage with him.
Most watched, and that's the most watched Super Bowl ever, right? Like, how many people they say watched it, like, ever in history of Super Bowl?
Is that what they said? I haven't seen the ratings for it yet. I would imagine it was going to be huge, but
the highest.
Yeah. The funny thing is I heard somebody like, oh, the ratings went down by millions after that performance. And somebody responded, it's like, don't you realize that they waited until after the performance to leave the game? Because it was a blowout. That's the reason why people stopped watching, because it was an absolute blowout.
People wanted to watch that performance too.
Right. They watched the performance, then the ratings went down. It would have made more sense if the ratings went down during the performance.
Exactly.
Right. So anyway, we'll move on to the next thing, but of course we have to say hello to Angel, who joined our chat as always, and we love Angel from Alaska. Angel, she always has some weather issues up there too that always concern me and scare me. So I hope everything is good right now with Angel as always. But let's move on, Lana. President Musk is in complete control of everything right now. It is made clear that he is running this show and Donald Trump is just sitting there and he's allowing him to do it. And why he's allowing him to do it at this point, we could talk about that. But let's first play the clip where he was with the Japanese prime minister last week, and a reporter asked him about the new Time magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind the Resolute desk. And the best part about this is how Donald Trump has to wait for the interpreter to ask the Japanese president as well before he gives his answer. I love this.
Mr. President, do you have a reaction to the new Time magazine cover that has Elon Musk sitting behind your Resolute desk?
タイムマガジンにイーロン・マスクが大統領の机の後ろで座っている写真がありますけども、それに関するコメントは何かありますか?
Is Time magazine still in business? I didn't even know that.
まだタイムマガジンは廃刊じゃないんですか?
Elon.
Listen to all the sycophants and dipshits laughing. Oh, Mr. President, because we're so uncomfortable because Elon really is the president and we're going to laugh at your dumb joke, even though they put you on Time magazine just a few weeks ago as the person of the year for something.
He didn't complain about that now, did he?
No. This is the same guy who has posters of himself at Mar-a-Lago with him on Time magazine, and he's never been on the cover of Time magazine before.
Exactly.
Sad, pathetic little loser. But anyway, right before I came on, there were Elon apparently was in the Oval Office today.
Yeah.
And he was there with his kid. And
like,
wait, I forgot to add a couple of these clips. So I'm just going to go here and we're going to start with the first one. First of all, Elon Musk is in control of this Doge who is supposed to go around and he's supposed to cut spending, Lana. And he's going around and he's telling people, look at this spending, look at this spending. And it turns out almost everything he's talking about is either not true or he's just flat out lying, whatever the case is. One of those is that we were sending multi-millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. And then that was proven wrong. And he was called out for that. And this was his response.
And this is big numbers. Talking about $100 to $200 billion a year.
Sure.
Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact-check this, it apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you say?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms, if you think about it. If it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Why?
I'm going to tell you what's really annoying about that. A couple things. He says, we will quickly do everything we can to correct that. He had not said one fucking word since then until that reporter asked him a question. So obviously they're not quickly going to try to do that, to correct anything.
And kudos to, again, like these reporters have to really walk that fine line to stay in the room, because we see that they locked AP out for not seeing the Gulf of America, right? So they are dealing with a petty guy, and you and I get upset with the media a lot, like it's warranted. But we also do realize that they really they have to do that fucking catering shit. They got to play chess. So
yeah, but you know what you and I do, Lana? The difference is that well, for me personally, I get mad at the cable news media. Real journalists, I am all for. And I think the real journalists, that game is dying, unfortunately, or it's getting more difficult for them. But you know what? Maybe they are going to amp up their game, and they know this is their time to really shine and take back.
Right, because that was a good question. Like, and it wasn't rude or disrespectful how she said it. So it's like, okay, well, you got to answer that question. She wasn't trying to get a gotcha. It was a question. Like, dude, are you going to correct that? Because it's been fact checked.
Well, the other thing too is what bothers me is that there's one of two things here. Either they're not competent enough to understand the difference between a province in Africa and the Gaza Strip. So either they're incompetent or I believe they allowed that to float out there to be a flat out lie because they're so arrogant to think that nobody's going to question us. And we have already found the blueprint to fool the amount of Americans that we know that we're just going to agree with whatever we say.
Exactly. Throw the lie out there because it's already out there, and MAGA, it's going to be there. So the truth is now going to seem like fake news because they've already thrown out. The fake news went out first and MAGA believed it. So now where we
Lana, you said it last week when you said, if you hear something and you just don't take a second and think to yourself, is that true? So when you hear $600 million on sushi, and you just go ahead and believe that, and you're cheering that we are now getting rid of the government spending $600 million on sushi, which is not true. And the other one that really bothers me out of all of them, I wish they would have asked them about the Politico story about $8 million spent on Politico. First of all, that's not even close to true. Second of all, it was $44,000 in 2 years total on subscriptions to Politico. Now, if somebody says to me, why are there subscriptions to Politico through the government? The one thing I want to know is I want to know the actual answer before I make a determination whether or not that needs to be, scrapped or not. But first of all, second of all, it's only $44,000. Second of all, if you dig in a little deeper, Mike Johnson's office spent $9,000 to subscriptions to Politico. Lauren Boebert's office spent $7,000 to subscriptions to Politico. And there was a House committee, a Republican House committee that spent like $54,000 on Politico subscriptions. So this is something that there's a reason why they do it. There's also subscriptions to the Wall Street Journal, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who owns Fox News.
Right. Like, so where are we right now? Like, I don't know. Everyone agrees that, pretty sure you could cut some spending in some areas.
Right.
But without a forensic audit.
Yep.
But you have coders. What are you really trying? That's not why you're there. And it's like, who are you fooling right now? Like MAGA? Because they'll believe anything other than that. Like, you got to be a real idiot to think that these people who have money in excess, who can't spend it all, but also don't give to charity, will actually be trying to save money for like doing you a solid. That's not what this is. How could it be? If they really wanted to do a solid, they would cut defense spending and not fucking cancer research and whatever else. That's like 0.1% of the fucking budget. Like, this doesn't make, they're not getting any money right now. Like, this is like, I need to cut back my monthly spending. Let me stop, buying that one avocado a week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not it.
Right.
Maybe the fucking 2 cartons of cigarettes somebody's smoking,
exactly
right?
Yeah, maybe not going out to dinner 5 nights a week.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is, right? Buying lunch, breakfast, and dinner out, right? Exactly.
Yep.
And not that. Like, that's stupid.
See, and I hear these comments, and this is where it gets so frustrating that you see it on Twitter. I'm on these TikTok lives, and they're asking me, I don't understand why you Democrats are so mad about cutting government spending. I was like, that's not what this is about. First of all, What anybody should be mad about is a non-citizen of this country who is not an official part of the government is going in, and he also gets government subsidies himself. So I've got a question, Lana. This is questions I've been asking all the MAGA people. We have an administration that has made it clear that climate change is a hoax, and we got out of the Paris Accord, we got out of all that. We also have a guy who's in charge of government spending who gets multi-millions of dollars of government subsidies for his cars that help combat climate change. So the question is, which one are we? Do we not believe in climate change, or do we? Because if we don't believe in climate change, then all those subsidies to Tesla has to go away. But if we don't, then we need to rejoin the Paris Accord. That's it. Which one are we going to do?
Exactly. And this is the thing that MAGA don't get, because they're just too fucking stupid. Like, they cannot explain that. There's no way to explain that. No
they
way
can't answer it, and they'll just go around it and say Elon's a genius, and you know he knows what he's doing, and dumb shit like that.
Perhaps he does, but we'll never know because they're not being transparent, right? So, like, if you legitimately wanted to cut government spending, you would work with Congress to do this. Doors would be open. Why? Trump is the president. They have the Senate, they have Congress. What are Democrats going to do if they get inside of those doors? Like, what are they going to do? Start ripping shit up? No, they're not. You're not being transparent because you have something to hide. Why won't you even come to Congress to testify? Like, what is this?
Right. Well, they claim they are being transparent. That's going to be in a clip here in a minute. But this one's a little funny. I meant to play this one first. This is Donald Trump sitting behind his desk having to play babysitter to Elon Musk's stupid kid.
Hilarious.
I ask Elon Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon?
Look at poor Donald. Thinks he's in charge.
Did he, after this 40-minute presser that Elon just gave? Because he kept talking and talking. That shit.
No question. And Donald just sat there and let him continue to talk. And part of that was kind of, I don't know if Donald's just getting tired.
Elon said, "Is that my son or is that Donald?"
Yeah. This is awesome.
Diaper change.
So the
right.
At a high level, you say, what is the goal of Doge, and I think a significant part of the presidency?
Look at Donald, by the way. He is pissed that kid is in his office right now.
Yeah, he really is.
Is to restore democracy.
Stop looking at him. You see him turning. He's like, "Don't play with me." He said, "Do not play with me."
I'll be honest with you. I've had, like, I don't know, like if I'm at a gym or something like that, and somebody has their kid there, and they look at me and they start coming towards me, I kind of turn away. I'm like, no, I'm really not.
That was hilarious, though. He just like,
Yep, that's exactly what Donald did. It's like, dude, stay the fuck away from me. I'm not in the mood for this shit. I already have a whole press corps right now thinking that the guy talking is the president.
Yeah.
You don't have feedback with FX. We'll have to. If you
even tells him, shut up.
Tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes.
And what's sad is these two think they're in. I mean, they're in charge, but I mean, Elon thinks he's funny. This is gonna be
funny. It is funny. This is literally the two men that laughed about firing workers are firing workers. They are making America unemployed again. They keep talking about these agencies and how corrupt they are, and how like they're just running amok doing what they want, when there are real life people who are just showing up to work to do jobs that you are just like firing and acting like they are the bad ones. Like, they're the ones. We're getting rid of all of them. We're going to cause pain. It's like, you want people's families to suffer? Like, who are you?
Lana, I also had a clip earlier. I took it out because these Elon clips came up before the show, so I replaced it. But Donald Trump literally had the balls to be talking about people working from home, and we need to stop people working from home because if they work from home, they're going to go out and play tennis or golf. This motherfucker's done nothing but play golf since he's taken over, and he's not even working from his own. First of all, he works from something called a White House. So he works from home. And then when he's not at the White House, he's working at another house all day. I mean, what the fuck is this guy
And then he
talking
had a
about?
list of his people who work from home. Like
oh my God, the fucking balls. But you were talking about the conflicts of interest. Another reporter, this is another good question by a reporter asking about the conflict of interest that Elon Musk has in his position. And of course, he gives this ridiculous answer.
Of interest when it comes to you yourself. For instance, you've received billions of dollars in federal contracts when it comes to the Pentagon, for instance, which the president I know has directed you to look into.
Yeah.
Are you policing yourself in that? Is there any sort of accountability check and balance in place that would provide any transparency for the American people?
Well, all of our actions are fully public. So if you see anything, you say like, wait a second, hey, Elon, that seems like maybe that's, there's a conflict there. It's not like people are going to be shy about saying that. They'll say it immediately.
What people? The 19-year-old Harry Bowles guy?
Right. The people on Twitter, but you know what? Elon always has if somebody says something on Twitter that he doesn't like, he always says "fuck you," or he has some sort of snarky return remark to him.
Yeah, he's so non-transparent. It's not even like this is just so ridiculous. It's like it's laughable. People are so far up this felon's ass and the felon's president's ass that they just say things like voters don't question it. It's because they said so. Elon said there's no conflict. MAGA said there's no conflict. Like there's no evidence of like overspending in these departments. There's no evidence of corruption. It's just what they fucking say. Like it's wild to me. It's just what they say. Whatever.
But Lana, they are fully on board with Joe Biden is a criminal and he's been a criminal and his whole family's a criminal. They're on board that Hillary Clinton literally had people killed. They're on board with Obama spied on Donald Trump's campaign. That 100% is true. But anything involving Trump or Elon Musk, none of it could possibly be true. It's just the deep state going after them. This is, I mean, again, this is stuff that you and I have to deal with. And, just the people surrounding us are the okay. Let's finish the clip.
Transparency is what builds trust, not simply somebody asserting trust. So not somebody saying they're trustworthy, but transparency, so you can see everything that's going on, and then you can see, am I doing something that benefits one of my companies or not? It's totally obvious.
And if we thought that, we would not let him do that.
Oh my God!
If we thought there was a lack of transparency or a conflict of interest. And we watch that also. He's a big businessman. He's a successful guy. That's why we want him doing this. We don't want an unsuccessful guy doing this.
He had to step in because he was like, Elon's getting too much attention. Let me just bring him down a few notches here and let him know we're keeping an eye on Elon, so we're not going to let him do it if we say. Oh my God. So embarrassing, man. This fucking country is so embarrassing right now.
I don't care. He is not going to get upset with Elon. He cannot. Like he can't. That is the money man. Elon is the money
question.
He must be pissed at him. Like he's got to be pissed that he can't be pissed at Elon, right? Like he can't outwardly show that. He cannot.
I saw Crystal Ball, if you know who she is. She is a political pundit, and she had a theory. She was like, it is funny that all this money was pumped into this bullshit meme coin that Donald Trump put out for himself and then one for Melania and all this money, and you don't know where this money came from. And they're suggesting that Elon and maybe a couple of these other people put this money in this thing, and the agreement is we'll pump up your stupid coin and make you a multi-billionaire, and you let me do whatever the fuck I want.
No fucking doubt. That is why Elon right now can stand in that office and be there and talk to the press for 40 fucking minutes, and that orange motherfucker has to sit there and bite his fucking tongue, because that is his bread and butter. At 1,000%, that is his bread and butter.
Elon's smart enough to understand, I'll let him think that he's in charge of me. He can stop me and he can say, we're keeping an eye on Elon. Don't worry about it. I'm in charge of this. I'm keeping an eye on him. And Elon's like, this dumb fuck. I'm in charge of you. You know it. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Not the vice president. Ask Trump today, would you support J.D. Vance?
We're going to have that. I have that clip.
Okay.
So we'll get to that. So let's play this last clip, Lana, before we get to that clip. But we'll play this last clip. And Elon's telling the American people, you know what? You're going to get what you voted for. And you know what? He's exactly right.
The people voted for major government reform.
No, they did.
There should be no doubt about that. That was
they did.
On the campaign. The president spoke about that
they
at every rally.
Cheaper groceries.
First of all, they wanted cheaper groceries, and they didn't want any boys playing in girls' sports. So apparently they're going to get that. They're going to get the 8 girls. What's that?
I said they wanted the immigrants gone.
Right. So, and by the way, if I saw correctly, and I'm going to look into this a little bit more, the rounding up of the immigrants and getting rid of them are nowhere near the amount of numbers that they were talking about and that it was supposed to be. But you know what the thing is? All these people who supposedly voted for that, they won't say a fucking word about it, because you know why? They never cared about it to begin with. They don't care about any of this shit.
They're not going to know that the numbers aren't there because they're not paying attention to that visual.
They could just tell them. They could tell them that we rounded up millions and millions of immigrants, and they'll just believe it. But then there's going to be an actual number that comes out, and they'll completely ignore it because they're trained flying monkeys.
You think we're going to get a number? I don't even think we're going to get a number.
It's possible that you don't. I mean, but that's what I'm saying. There's a report that's already showing that there's not as many. So somebody is keeping a track of this.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how that plays out. But here's Elon's warning about how you're going to get what you voted for.
For major government reform. And that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times people that don't get what they voted for. But in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for. And that's what democracy is all about.
Name one, Lana. They control the House. They control the Senate. The House is the one that could come up with an initial bill. They can come up with an initial plan. Name one thing that the House has passed along to the Senate. We're going on, next week is going to be a month already. He said starting on day one, prices are going to go down. Name one thing that they have done. All of this is a distraction for these idiots. I mean, people are literally celebrating the transgender bill like they just won the lottery. But they don't understand. Your prices are going to continue to go up. You have people like Chris Sununu on CNN laughing, basically with a smirk on his face, when they're asking about, hey, what about prices? And he's like, hey, man, prices are going to be what they're going to be.
Yeah.
Now they're laughing at you. They're laughing at everybody. They're not laughing at me. I mean, maybe they are. They're laughing at us too. But we knew it was coming. I mean, Lana and I've talked about it before. We were forced on this fucking Titanic, and we were pissed that we're on this boat because we already know about the iceberg. They don't, and we try to warn them about the iceberg. But anyway. So. Again, I don't watch cable news, but Caitlin Collins came on the other day, and because we have this administration now that has judges' orders. In fact, right before I came on, there was a judge order that said, no, we don't agree with you freezing federal funds. And the Trump administration sued back, and they wanted to uphold that. So they wanted to send that to an appeals judge, and the appeals judge said, no, I agree with this guy. So we're not freezing federal funds. And their whole mentality is, and you have the sycophants going around to all the talk shows basically saying, if he wants to ignore a judge's ruling, you ignore a judge's ruling. And Caitlin Collins is warning us that we have a constitutional crisis on our hands. Lana, you want to say something before we play the clip?
Yeah, play the clip.
All right, let's play it.
3 weeks into the second Trump presidency, 3 weeks, and tonight there are warnings that the U.S. is dangerously close to a constitutional crisis. Now, the first shoe on this dropped when a federal judge today said the White House is defying his order to unfreeze billions of dollars in federal aid, marking the first time that we've had a judge expressly accuse the Trump administration of ignoring a court ruling. And in a separate case today, federal employees here in Washington told a judge that the administration was defying another order by not reinstating workers who had been put on leave. Now, this all has prominent Democrats and many of the nation's top constitutional scholars declaring that the U.S. is on the brink of a reckoning. The Trump Justice Department says the president should have the authority to decide how to run the government and that these judges are overreaching. And some of the president's allies say the judges should not be judging any of the moves to shrink the federal government.
So that's her warning. And there are a lot of warnings. There is some encouraging things that I've heard, Lana, is that phone calls to people's representatives and senators in their states have gone up like 3,000%. Like they are bombing people, the senators and their representatives' offices with phone calls and emails and showing up and doing all this stuff, because there are enough people in this country that do understand that we do have a constitutional crisis on our hands, because we have somebody that basically said, I want to be a dictator on day one. You have somebody, a non-citizen, who's literally breaking laws, going in, taking or looking at people's Social Security, doing all this thing. Donald Trump has already broken the Constitution. If the House somehow, we'll get into that in a second, but we have certainly you have a crisis on our hands, and we're only 3 weeks in, Lana.
Yeah, he's gonna push the court. He's like, fuck y'all. What are you gonna do to me? Like, and you have Republicans saying, whoa, he's a like, no, y'all know better. That's not how this works. If that was the case, then Biden could have went on with his loan forgiveness, and he couldn't, right? Like everything he tried to do was getting blocked in the courts. Right. And he's running around saying, I'm not going to abide by the court. What the fuck is wrong with these people? It's bizarre. It's so fucking bizarre.
The reason why Lana uses the word bizarre is because this is for our entire political lives. All we heard was from these people was the Constitution, the Constitution, the Constitution. Now all of a sudden they don't give a fuck about the Constitution, because they have what they have this person in their lives that they look at as more than a president. They look at him literally as, we make fun of it, but they literally call him daddy. They say he is the second coming of Jesus. They say all this weird, bizarre stuff that is really damaging the brains of not just Americans that we don't know, but Americans that we do know. And this is just sad and pathetic and dangerous, very, very dangerous. But I was bringing up earlier, there's a slight chance, right now, if I remember correctly, the House lead for the Republicans is 2. It's at 217 to 215. And the reason why is because there are 3 people in the administration that left their House seats to go into the Trump administration. 2 of them went to the Trump administration, and 1 wound up quitting because a report came out that he was basically paying underage girls to sleep with them. But I know Elise Stefanik was 1, and I can't remember who the other one was. So there's going to be 3 special elections being held, 2 here in the state of Florida. One of them is another Floridian. I can't remember who it was. So it's 2 Floridians and 1 in New York. And if somehow, some way, the Democrats can pull off those 2 House seats here in Florida, now we have a tie in the House, with the last one in Elise Stefanik's district, which we spoke to one of the gentlemen who tried to run in that particular district, and we saw how red it was, and we know it's going to be difficult. And Matt Gaetz's district is very red. However, Iowa just had a special election for one of their state Senate seats a couple weeks ago, and it was a district that Donald Trump won by double digits, and the Democrat won in that. So if we have enough people that are hearing the alarm bells and we can flip the House before 2026, that would be gigantic.
That would really be amazing.
I think one of the big problems we're going to run into is, Elon Musk is going to throw all the money in the world at those 3 races, and it's going to be nearly impossible
and there lies the issue all the time is the money, and that's why Trump will shut his mouth and do whatever, because Elon has just money to, and it's like the system was set up thinking that white men were so honest and so great and non-criminal, right? Like, just they never thought that somebody would come, because this system was set up for you, right? Like, let's be clear, it was for white
100%.
men, right? So it's been set up, but the way it's set up, there's so many gaps, because just thought that no one would come and do these kind of things. Like, all this money being poured into that election. Like, how can he just do that? Like, how can he buy an election? That shit's crazy.
This is, well, first of all, because we fucked up in this country in allowing Citizens United to pass. I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg even said that was probably the biggest regret that she ever had, was to say yes to Citizens United, which is by far, I mean, it's probably in the top 5 worst rulings in the history of this country, and there's a case for it to be named number 1. And obviously the overturning of Dobbs, all that stuff could be up there, but without I think if we didn't get rid of Citizens United, or if we didn't allow that, then we wouldn't be having the issues of fighting, the Dobbs decision and all the stuff that we're seeing now. You're right. I mean, the system's always been set up, for the white man. It's always been set up for, for them to succeed. And time has gone on, and there have been definitely strides to be made. But at the end of the day, there's still a large contingent out there that still thinks that, this is all should be run by us. And, if it's not, because you saw, I mean, this is what sparked Donald Trump to run for president, because Barack Obama won, and it drove him fucking insane.
It drove the MAGA insane too, right? And this is just a tip off, because, DEI is literally whites only. And I saw somebody have that picture and did a tweet today with the picture of like someone black looking at a job in a window and says something like whites only. That's really what is happening. Like, I don't know, stop sleeping, wake up, because that's part of what's going on here. It's like they do not want any person of color, probably no women either, to get any of these jobs, any jobs for that matter. That's why they're saying to companies, it is okay if you discriminate. They cannot sue you anymore. We've taken that away. The only people that can sue are white people. If they feel like they're being discriminated against, they can sue. But there's no recourse anymore for us if we feel like we're getting overlooked for promotion. We're just not going to get fucking promotions anymore. Like, that's how this shit is about to work. I just read like how the military goes and they have like their career days, or how they try to get people to come in. So I guess there's like a top black engineering school, like it's elite, that they normally go to try to get, people from this engineering place to enlist. They're not going, because they're not clear if that would fuck with Trump's executive order with no DEI. How the fuck does that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's anti-black. Like, it's just literally anti-black. black. Just no thing. You just say DI, and it's like, okay, I can't hire you because you're black. Like it's crazy right now. And
well, let me tell you why why when you hear white people talk about it, now Lana talked about it because she's a black woman and it affects her community. But the white people who talk about it, you notice that they only associate DEI with color, even though DEI is way more than just color. So, but you only hear them talking about it when they're talking about, I don't understand, why should somebody not of color not get a job when they also equate it with being more qualified. The only reason why the black person got it is because they're black, not because they're qualified. And they don't understand it, and they only associate it with just giving somebody a handout, just like they've always said back in the old days when it came to what was the Ronald Reagan always used the term welfare queen. Using those kind of terms just to spark the anger in the white person. And that's what we're seeing again in this country. And it's very fucking sad.
It is sad because one, white women are the biggest recipients of welfare.
By far.
And all of
and DEI.
Yeah, and DEI. So there that, but DEI covers, like Brian just said, handicap placards, handicap spots.
Yep.
Braille on the elevator if you need Braille, like all inclusive. Like it's so people don't get left out. If blind people need to get on an elevator, they need Braille. They're not being left out and not able to tell which floor they're getting on. Those stop signs, you ever walk and it's telling you like stop at, when you're walking across the street, It talks to you because of the people who cannot see. So these are the things, this is all inclusion, but they do it on purpose. They want you to equate it with black because that's how they get to anti-black, because that's the biggest part of what they want to stop, right? They don't necessarily want to stop handicapped people from parking. Those aren't the target. The target is the people of color that they think are taking their jobs and making them have to work more hard because they do want it to get. This is a white supremacist movement. We can't get away from that. We have to keep talking about that because it really is. Like, there's no doubt about it. Every move that they are making is bringing us back to that place. It's freaking Hegseth running around saying, what army base can I rename Bragg? Like that, it's on purpose. It's waking up, and it's like the Army and the Navy web page has removed women from, from the web pages, like their history, but they put it back because of like the uproar, but it's going to happen again. It's going to happen.
I'll say one of the most frustrating things, Lana, is that you're also talking to a bunch of people nowadays who just think that something like DEI just started over the last few years, and that tariffs just started over the last few years, and that transgender people just started over the last few years. These are things that have been around for decades, and now all of a sudden everybody's got an opinion about how it should work and why it should work and why it shouldn't work and why this person this. It's just, everything is just so fucking out of control, and it's so fucking annoying right now. But all right, next subject. But before we go to the next subject, Baby Juggernaut has joined as well. Thank you so much, Baby Juggernaut, for joining. It's always great to see you as well. Angel says, or they want to rip up the Constitution. Well, that's clear. They don't give a shit about the Constitution anymore. Baby Juggernaut says she's mad at the NFL. Was pretty chicken shit to take down the end racism sign. I completely agree. Like, what was why? It
didn't matter. Why? It didn't matter. Kendrick gave the message. They didn't need those signs. I would rather Kendrick performing and giving us the message that he gave us than a stupid sign by far. So we good with not having those fucking signs there. They let Kendrick perform. That was it. That was the message.
No question. All right. Next, Lana, you talked about this earlier. Donald Trump was asked, you have a vice president that you chose, and I'm assuming that you chose him because you would think that he's the best person to take over when you're done. Isn't that usually when you pick a vice president, that is the idea, is that you could succeed him in case something happens to you. That's why you're going to make your best decision on who can step in and be president right now. He chose JD Vance. He was asked, hey, is JD going to be your successor? And this was his non-shocking answer.
Do you view Vice President J.D. Vance as your successor, the Republican nominee in 2028?
No, but he's very capable. I mean, I don't think that I think you have a lot of very capable people. So far, I think he's doing a fantastic job. It's too early. We're just starting.
By the time we get to the midterms,
why is he the color of the wall?
Yeah,
I know, dude. He's throwing on way too much makeup. I can tell you because he's looking awful, by the way. He's looking old. He looks like he barely breathe anymore. He just looks terrible. So if you put on enough orange, it'll make him look somewhat healthy.
Burnt umber. Like he's the color of the wall behind him. Sorry.
And by the way, Lana, fuck Brett Baer. Look how kind and nice he's being to Donald Trump. Do you remember the Kamala Harris interview? Yeah, fuck you, dude.
a lot of people have said that this has been the greatest opening, almost 3 weeks.
Oh my God! You know what? I'm not listening to that. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this fucking guy. A lot of people are saying this is the greatest opening in the history. This is a fucking nightmare, and people are running around with their hair on fire. The only people saying it's great are his stupid flying monkeys. That's it. Those are the only ones saying it's great.
Yeah. How is it great when people are being fired? Price of eggs at like $1,000. That's great.
Yeah.
Tariff war. He put tariffs on steel and aluminum, and China put tariffs on us. That's great.
Yep. So far, not one thing, literally not one thing to bring down the price of groceries. When he was asked about it, he was like, fuck, I don't think we can. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that, even though that's what he promised the American people. And the American people, and you know what, I'll call out every one of you fucks who for the last year kept saying, we need change because inflation is too high, which it wasn't, and that the grocery prices are too high. I heard more people talk about that, and now all of a sudden you don't want to talk about that anymore. And you're going to say, oh, you got to give him time. He's been in office for 3 weeks, and that is everybody's number one main issue. And you have not mentioned it one time other than like, fuck, I don't think there's anything we could do about it. But you know, you've mentioned what is some of the fucking stupid shit he's done already, Lana? You know, he made sure that the Gulf of Mexico is now called the Gulf of America. He made sure that trans boys can't play in trans sports anymore.
Yeah, the whole 10 of them, the whole 10 of them in the NCAA.
Right. Less than 10, by the way.
Less than 10. Yeah. Like, what?
You know what he's done? He's put up the gigantic tent, and he's done this huge circus, and everything is, you look over here and the people are flipping the shit in the air and the bowling pins. This guy's up on the tightrope over here. The elephants are over here, and they're all there to distract you. And they're throwing in shit that you've never even seen before in a circus. And they're like, holy shit. And you're looking all over the place. Meanwhile, they're in the back laughing at your dumbasses. It's just amazing. It is so amazing. God, how, Lana? How did this happen?
I don't know. MAGA. People didn't vote. People sat on their asses. I don't know. They thought, and he's trying to friggin' ethnic cleanse over in Gaza. It's like,
that's the other thing. He's gonna take over Gaza.
Taking it.
And Greenland. That's the other thing. He's going to purchase Greenland. I thought we were talking about wasteful spending. I don't want my tax dollars going to the purchase of fucking Greenland, you fucking idiot.
Well, I don't know. He said he wasn't purchasing Gaza. They asked him, and he said,
Gaza, he's not. He's just taking
that shit. They got to go.
Yep. We're just going to, like you said, ethnic cleansing, just like we did back in the old day when we first started and we came over to this country. I was telling somebody the other day, you know, it's funny, when we were growing up and I was a kid, The only thing I remember about Christopher Columbus was the cartoon of him smiling on the boat and walking into America and saying, "Hey, we discovered America." And then you read about Christopher Columbus, and he was an asshole. I mean, he was a terrible, awful human being. In fact, there's a new book I'm reading. I don't know why it took me this long to, Lana, you should read it if you haven't. It's called A People's History of the United States. It is very, very detailed, and it goes beyond just the regular history that you hear. So instead of it focusing on Christopher Columbus, it's the people that Christopher Columbus affected. It's the slaves. It is the, it's the Indians. It is everybody. It's from the perspective of the people who were affected, not from the people doing the things to them. And it's I think you would probably love that book. I mean, you would probably be pissed off reading it.
History, was it?
A People's History of the United States. I'll send it to you later, but it's really good, and it was a bestseller for like years. And I was like, how have I never heard of this book? And it's pretty remarkable. So you should get that. But I'll send it to you later. But anyway, we were talking about the dumb shit that Donald Trump has done. Here he is signing a bill that is, I guess, I don't know, getting rid of boys playing girls sports. And he had a bunch of young girls surrounding him as he was signing this bill. It was creepy and weird. And it was Donald Trump trying to be the grandpa Donald Trump. See, I'm a likable guy. Everybody look at me. Look how good I am with kids. But he was as comfortable as ever. And this is just a weird scene, man.
Secret Service is worried about them.
By the way, these poor girls have no fucking idea why they're there.
They're just gonna go and stand with the president while he signs something.
These were a bunch of white Karen mothers who said, "You're going to stand behind the president today." And they're like, "Fuck, okay, I guess. I don't care. When can I go home and watch TikTok?"
If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this?
Notice anything in that picture, Lana?
His Sharpie? I don't know what.
Just look at the background. Kind of looks like his rallies, right? Now?
Yeah, I see a couple, colored faces for good measure.
Oh, do you? Oh, yeah, okay. Because I thought I saw somebody on Twitter saying there is no black mom. There's
no, I mean, there's no black.
Anywhere near this guy.
No, definitely no black moms, but I do see. It looks like it could be a cheerleading team. You know what I mean? Like it's a couple colored kids. I don't know, man. This is it's just all of it is just weird. It's just
charming Donald. First of all, he wants nothing to do with those
nice
kids.
Picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that.
These kids don't know anything that's happening right now.
I want to make this a really good.
Okay, I'm done watching that because it's weird and it's creepy, and I wonder which one of them, Lana, did you say to? Do you think he said to them, "I'll be dating you in 10 years"?
Seriously, it's just gross. It's just gross. Think about it. These mothers brought their kids next to a rapist.
Yep. Yeah. Correct.
That we're supposed to not say or something like sexual assault or was convicted, not convicted, but whatever, found liable sexually.
Yeah, he was found liable. Yep. And the judge in the case called him a rapist, and he basically, and he's a convicted felon. I mean, like I said, we're living in a world that is so weird, and I guarantee you, all those mommies go to they force those little girls to church every Sunday to listen to the word of Jesus. I guarantee you, I don't know shit about Jesus other than, I know about Jesus, and from what I understand of Jesus, and if anybody out there is religious and they're watching this and I get this wrong, correct me, but I'm assuming he was a pretty decent dude. He wasn't somebody that was hateful. He wasn't angry. And I'm not sure Jesus would approve of being in that room with somebody who is a convicted felon. And I know Jesus probably has seen a lot more of what Donald Trump has done than any of you people who have put the blinders on, because whether you saw it or not, you're just going to say, I didn't see it, and just agree with what he has to say. But you want to see something really gross here, Lon, and this is how awful these people are. This Sarah McBride is the first transgender person that won her district in her House race. And what's her name? Mary Miller. She was the person announcing her. She's a Republican, and this is how she decided she had to announce this transgender woman.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Delaware, Mr. McBride, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. When I was elected,
and of course, to Sarah McBride's credit, she just goes on and she ignores it. And she's like, I'm not even giving into this fucking nonsense. So,
why? It's like, you know what? I cannot. Like, Christians.
Right.
I keep going back, and I know, forgive me, I'm the black part of the black and white show.
Absolutely no need to apologize.
Back when they were lynching black people, it was the Christians that was doing it.
Yeah.
Back when they enslaved, black people, it was under the guise of Christianity. Like, God wants this for you. So it's just like Christians have been this, not all now, not all, not what I'm saying, but historically, they've been fucking barbaric. Like, they would go to church, leave church, and go to a lynching picnic where they would take souvenirs. So this right here is par for the course, because they are just so awful and brutal and barbaric. And then just to be under, like, we're good Christians it's why, like, why can't you call this person what they want you to call them? What is so hard about that?
It's very frustrating, and it is juvenile. And you're right, it's just flat mean. It's like the Mean Girls in high school.
Exactly.
Are we not past this at this point? This woman won her race, and enough people said she deserves to be in Congress, and we want her to represent my district. And everybody that voted for her into that, call her she or her. And you're right, to wake up and just to spend your day being that awful and that terrible.
She thought about that.
Yeah, no. There is no question about it. This was they couldn't wait to do this. This is something that they had been planning for forever.
Yeah. We're gonna stick it to a lib. And it's just like, okay, now what? Like, you did it, and you didn't even get a response.
Now what?
Yeah, right. Like, where do we go now? Okay. And then she gave her respect. She should have called her sir. Like, fucking.
Yeah. But you know what? Again, she doesn't need to stoop down to this idiot's level. And that's what it is. There are some fights that I think you and I have talked about that the Democrats absolutely should take on. This one's worthless, because this is an immature, very sad, pathetic human being. And to stoop down to the level, now you're giving it credibility in a way. Just by ignoring it and rolling right over it, now you're giving it no credibility. Sometimes one of the best things in the world, the loudest person who's trying to make noise and is trying to get attention, you know what the best thing you can do is just completely ignore them. Because then they're like, well, fuck, I'm doing all this for nothing. Instead of, if you start giving them the attention.
Yeah, it's true. But I just, I just putting myself in McBride's shoes.
Yeah.
After that, or going home, or being in alone time, and you decompress, that hurts, because that's something that she's dealt with for, like, as long as she knew, like, right? As long as
you know what I also think, Lana, she probably got a lot of support after that. Now, the difference thing, like me and you, I have no problem. I almost feel like calling this Mary Miller's office and letting her fucking have it.
Ooh, good question. Or a bunch of emails.
Yep. Bunch of emails and phone calls to her office.
Yeah. Good
now
idea.
That, to me, is the army that needs to be formulated, because she could be the cool one, and she could go, look, I'm just going to go ahead and do my job. But I got some motherfuckers behind me that aren't putting up with that shit. And we're going to let you know about it.
hate is just, these people are just wild right now. It's just bad. It's just awful.
It really is, and that's why I always say, I mean, I don't know. I just don't get it. I told you I do these TikTok live now, and somebody asked me, how, like they kept asking the question in the comments over and over and over again, how many genders are there? And I'm like, dude, I'm going to answer your dumb question. First of all, if somebody tells me there's 100 genders, I'm like, sure, there's 100. If they go, no, science says they're down to 80, I'm like, okay, fine, there's 80. And if somebody says, I am a guy now and I want to call myself Jennifer the next day, I said, you got it, Jennifer. I mean, what the fuck do I care?
Right.
It means nothing to me.
Right. But these are the same people that argue that a fucking embryo is a baby. Like, so they're just dumb.
Right.
As that embryo has human rights and because it's a human life and just all of the things.
Just amazing. Well, there's last clip on it. We're going to play a clip here where there was somebody, a group of people who were not going to put up with bullshit up in outside of Cincinnati, Ohio the other day.
Yep.
There were a group of people who, I don't know, consider themselves white nationalists, I guess. And they thought they were going to walk through, I want to say the name of it was Lincoln Heights, was outside of Cincinnati. And I think it was a predominantly black area. And they thought that they were going to walk through this black area. Mm-hmm. And in that black area, the community came together and they said, hey, guess what's walking through the community? And the armed militia that you like to hear about and you like to celebrate, well, guess what? You get to see one here in a few minutes.
Get him the fuck out of here, man! Get him the fuck out of here! Ain't nobody scared of you, motherfucker!
Just before 3, there are about 13 people dressed in black on the bridge above I-75, waving a white supremacist flag, and some of them had swastika armbands.
A group of white supremacists armed with assault rifles was seen Friday hanging a banner and flags in a historically black community of Lincoln Heights in Cincinnati. And when word began to spread about their arrival, over 100 black people of the community showed up, and they showed out.
I'm out. Lincoln Heights is open to shit.
And after the police set up a barricade to protect the protesters, the angry mob broke through it and chased them down. The group was then seen hauling ass in the U-Haul truck as the angry mobs snatched their flags and burned them.
Where was the arrest? They just let these people drive off and disrespect us and our heritage. And y'all gonna let these terrorists and racists come over here and do that?
Ma'am, do me a
Who
favor.
they here to protect and serve? That's what I want to know. Who are they protecting and serving? Because it ain't us. It ain't the people.
Yeah, I noticed the difference between groups there. There's one group who's always a bunch of big pussies who always have to wear masks because they don't want their faces to be seen. And then there's another group who said, you're coming into our neighborhood and you're doing this just to act like a fucking asshole. So we're going to do something about it, and we're going to chase your dumbasses right out of here. And like they always do, packed into the back of a U-Haul that they always seem to rent, and then dip the fuck out of there.
Yeah. 3 things. My name is spelled wrong on your ticker tape.
Wait a minute. What? I got all kinds of use. Well, I wanted to extend your name because you're more than just one quest. You're on a quest.
Second thing is, it's funny because I have this clip for Thursday, but then my clip has a lot of N-words in it, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I'll get flagged for that.
I had that one too, but I found that one too. So I was like, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Did you get flagged?
Maybe you might. Yeah. I think you will.
But people say it all the time. I'm not saying it. It's a
In
video.
fact, even on, and real quick, I'll let you back to your point, but even on YouTube and stuff, I don't think we're allowed to say RRA. I think we have to say like grape instead of, or you also have to say, I don't think you're even allowed to say the N word for the German group that,
Right,
and you're not even allowed to say the guy. You get to say like the mustache man.
But what I'm not saying it, what if I'm watching a tape of somebody else saying it?
That's a good question. You might want to Google that and see if that's something that,
because I do have that video, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm gonna get in trouble. It's like,
you might want to Google it and find out.
okay.
Yeah.
Third,
your point.
The third thing is that this is really sad. Like, it's really, like, I laugh about this, but this is really sad where we're at. He has, there's no, he's gonna put us backwards. We are there.
No question.
It feels like 50s and 60s right now. They're emboldened. I saw that there was a KKK rally somewhere. Like, they're just emboldened, and we're going to see more of them. They're going to be in the streets. I mean, he always said civil war, so that's kind of what he wants too. Like, he wants us divided. He wants us fighting. Races aren't the only ones that have the Second Amendment, right? Right? Like, so it's not going to be pretty, but it's not a good place where we are. Like, I don't feel good right now because it does feel like a place I don't recognize, right? Because I did not grow up old enough to be in the 60s, like, marching and stuff like that. That wasn't my time for that. So to be here now feels like what we saw, right? Like them walking across, like, the bridges, the dogs out, like the Klan out there. Like, I don't know. It does feel like lynching can come back. Like, how does that not? Like, I don't. Where is the line drawn? They're going to have immunity. Where's the line at this point?
You would think that a real leader, if he really was somebody that didn't back this, he would come out and be on national television and say, this is absurd. In fact, quite frankly, if I'm president, I would fly directly to that site and have a press conference there and say, this is the kind of shit that we don't fucking tolerate in this country. But for Lana to say in 2025 that she feels more uncomfortable in 2025 than she may have even before this is something. I mean, that's something to take very seriously.
That's a crazy thing to watch. Like, that's wild to watch. Like, you gotta understand that is fucking crazy because the boldness is they ran this time. What happens the next time, right? You're not going to get the same group all the time. There may be a physical altercation. We know what happens with that. They're going to protect them racists. That's who they protect. They're not going to protect those Black people.
They all had guns too. They all had. I guess Ohio must be an open carry state.
Yeah.
So, and that's going down. And again, this is setting up. It's not going to be like the Civil War, obviously the 1800s, but this is going to be setting up for a lot of that kind of stuff that's going to be happening in the streets because you have, like Lana said, these emboldened assholes who think they're going to walk in. But what's funny is that these pussies are they're the ones who always retreat first. Always. They want to act like big, bad, tough guys, but they're the first ones always to jump in their U-Hauls with their masks on and get the fuck out of there. First of all, if this is their country now and everything is going their way, why are they even wearing the masks anymore? What the fuck do they need the mask for anymore? Unmask yourselves.
Yeah, well, that KKK video, they didn't have no masks on. They didn't care. They didn't care.
And for anybody watching this, there you guys talking about race again. You can go fuck yourselves. All of you go fuck yourselves because you don't understand. You'll never understand. Fucking I don't understand even nowhere near as much as Lana. So if I'm pissed off about it, I can't even imagine how pissed off Lana is.
I mean, it's gotta make you, like, normal people, that would make you uncomfortable. I'm just like, that's just why. Like, if I looked out my window and saw the motherfuckers walking down, I'd be like, what the fuck, right? You don't feel safe because
Yeah.
you don't know. Your children are not safe. Like that whole altercation is just fortunate that it happened the way it did and they hauled ass and ran. But like,
you know something bad's coming at some point. Something
that's what I'm
awful.
saying. Like
Yep.
it's getting too heated. They're showing up everywhere and on purpose and
We're
going
3 weeks in. 3
Black,
weeks in.
right, exactly. They are bolden like a motherfucker. So
Did you see the clip of the guy who thought he was going to play police officers with the Mexican guys that were sitting in their truck?
oh my God. What's wrong with people?
See, these are the kind of
Is he
people
gonna pardon? I don't know. Is it the state crocodile? Trump's gonna pardon him if it's federal. He'll get out.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, we laugh about that, but he literally pardoned people who, you know what? I got to play this clip, Lon. I'm going to play this clip real quick before we go. He was asked about that. Another good question by a journalist. Let me find this clip here. Son of a bitch. Lana, you're still with me, right? I always ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
You said you're going to honor first responders today, but you pardoned hundreds of people who assaulted first responders. Why did you do that?
Who?
You were going to meet first responders today, but you pardoned people who assaulted first responders.
No, I pardoned people that were assaulted themselves. They were assaulted by our government.
Unreal.
I pardoned J6 people who were assaulted by our government.
Unreal.
That's who assaulted, and they were treated unfairly. There's never been a group of people in this country, outside of maybe one instance that I can think of, but I won't get into it, that were treated more horribly than the people of J6. So, no, I didn't assault. They didn't assault. They were assaulted. And what I did was a great thing for humanity. They were treated very, very unfairly. There's never been an incident like this.
Unfucking believable. I mean, that is just unfucking believable. Unfucking believable that I'm listening to this shit. That's unreal. Unreal. I don't know what else to say. That's just unreal.
I mean, we elected a felon and a racist, and he's doing what felons and racists do to his core. I mean, he's almost 80. The fuck do we think? Like, this man really wants a different time. He lived in a different time, and that's where he wants to go. Like, he knows he's an 80-year-old racist, misogynist, fucking bigot.
Yep. By the way, on an airplane, is anybody safe flying? Does anybody feel safe flying anymore? Wasn't there another? It was Vince Neil of Motley Crue ran into the airplane of some other star yesterday in the I'm trying to figure out how Vince Neil still has fucking money to have his own private jet. I didn't realize Vince Neil was still pulling down that kind of cash.
Maybe them residuals on the royalties.
I guess. I don't know. But that another, I mean, we are, like I said, 3 weeks in, and I've heard of 4 major plane incidences since, and I don't think I've ever heard of 4 major plane incidences in or accidents or anything like that in such a brief period of time ever in my life.
Something's coming. Like, something's going to happen. Sorry, but we know it is. Like, I don't know what it is, but something. I don't know. Hamas is out there just mad and disgruntled now because Trump's talking about ethnic cleansing. Like, it's just a whole mess.
The only thing I can say that I'm gotten away with, that the only thing I'm happy about, and nothing against anybody else out there in you, Lana, but the only thing I'm happy about is I don't have kids in this world, because I don't.
Yeah.
We're fucked. This country's fucked unless we do something about it in this next. Hopefully, we can pull off this house thing, and then 2026 we got to do something about it, and then maybe even before that.
Well, there's one in Alaska. Wow.
Oh wow. See, I mean, this is just that's insane. I mean, this is just insane. But anyway, Lana, we'll wrap it up. Tuesday, I already got the indication that Lana is going to be doing her show on Thursday night, the Quest Show. Please like, subscribe, and watch her show on Thursday night. She will be live. When did that happen, Angel?
Holy cow!
Is that today? Was that tonight that happened? But while Angel's updating us on that, the Quest Show, I'm a huge fan of the Quest Show. What are you laughing at? Why you laugh?
That's hilarious.
I don't understand what is so funny. I'm laughing at people who are not fans of the Quest Show. That's what I'm laughing at. So anyway, this is no joking matter. Go to the Quest Show and go fucking subscribe to her show and hit the notification bell so you know when she comes on, and watch her videos, and you'll learn something. Trust me, you will.
On TikTok. Somebody asked me on in one of the comments of my videos, like, do it live. I'm thinking, like, yeah, that sounds like
on TikTok.
Yeah,
I know. You already told me that you don't know if you just have either the patience or the.
It's a lot. It's like either or for me. Like, I can't do it all. Like, that's just no point.
You'll get some interesting characters wanting to talk to you, but
yeah.
Just, how am I not hearing about this?
In closing, I just want to say, F Eric Adams.
Oh yeah, he's another idiot.
Fuck that
I
guy.
don't know how he fucking won, but
barely. I heard he barely won, so fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I hope he loses in the primary, and then Trump is like, pull back. We don't need you anymore for New York. Y'all go on and file them things if you want. Undismiss his case.
You could throw John Fetterman in that category as well. So
well, Eric is worse though, because he's selling New York out, because he promises to Trump, and Trump is like, I'm gonna hold this over your head because we're gonna dismiss this without prejudice, so we can come back and file these charges on you at any given time, so you belong to us.
Wow. Yeah. Unreal. Angel, I've not heard that story. Thank you for sharing it with me. I'm going to check it out once we get out of here.
That's scary.
I don't know how we haven't heard about that one, or I haven't. So
I don't think I have. I don't know.
So anyway, we're going to wrap up the show. Lana, you always like to end with something great, like bye or something like that.
I don't even know what to say. Bird flu. I don't have anything positive right now. I am sorry, because it's just been a week. I just want him to golf at this point. Like, just go golfing, because
but then that means Musk is in charge. I can't have this guy running the fucking country, man. I can't have either one of them, and both of these fucking idiots running the country, and all the people trying to convince me that they're brilliant and that they are doing the Americans a service. They are distracting your stupid asses by trying to tell you we're cleaning up government corruption, and people are celebrating that because that is a populist sort of idea that I think most people would really want to have happen if it were truly happening on the level in which they're trying to make you think it's happening. They're trying to make you think that we are Russia and the government corruption that's happening over in Russia. And because of Biden and the Democrats, we got away with it for so long. But now Elon is coming in and he's saving Americans from the corruption of the Biden administration. God damn it, this fucking country so stupid. I don't know. That's all I've got to say, and I'm gonna angrily say it on every show. I don't care at this point. I don't care if you say you guys all you want to do is insult. That is correct. That's all I want to do is insult you. It was on PBS. Good night, Angel. Good night, baby Juggernaut. Thank you, everybody else, for watching. We appreciate it. Anybody that watched on Twitter, anybody that watched on Instagram, always appreciate you stopping by. And please like, subscribe, and blah, 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 all that bullshit. Lana, you're the best. We'll see you Thursday night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you